voiceover time. First time doing a voiceover, I do not know how it works, so please bear with me while I experiment. First cage is the Midwest Critter Nation single unit. Actually, the cage that I have. It costs $355 Canadian. It measures 91.4 by 61 by 99.1 centimeters. This cage can comfortably house 5 to 6 rats, and the bar spacing of this cage is half an inch. Our next cage is the Midwest Critter Nation double unit. It costs $463.52. It measures 91.4 by 61 by 160 centimeters. It can house up to 16 rats. And once again, the bar spacing is half an inch. This next cage is called Prevue Pet Products 484. It costs $317.73 Canadian. It measures 94 by 58.8 by 161 centimeters. This cage can house 13 to 15 rats, and the bar spacing is 7/16 inches. This next cage is the Prevue Hendryx 485 Feisty Ferret home. I actually planned on getting this cage, but turns out I didn't get it for multiple reasons. This cage is $399.99 Canadian. It measures 78.7 by 50.8 by 137.2 centimeters. It can house 7 to 9 rats. And the bar spacing is 7/8 inches, so way too big. For adult rats, this would be completely fine, but for babies, they could easily squeeze out. This is the Paw Hut 3-tier rabbit cage, and may I just say, please don't use this for rabbits. It's terrible. Just get them an X-pen or a room. It's not suitable for rabbits. Don't get it for rabbits. It costs $249.99 Canadian. It measures 32 by 20.75 by 43.25 inches. It can house 5 to 7 rats. Bar spacing is quite big. It measures 0.75 inches. Our next cage is the Ferplast Furet cage, which actually is not bad for rats. Anywho, it costs $408.99 Canadian. It measures 74.9 by 80 by 161 centimeters. It can house quite a large number of rats, up to 16. And the bar spacing is 0.5 inches. This next cage is the PawHut Deluxe small animal cage. It costs $239.99 Canadian. It measures 31.5 by 20.5 by 50.5 inches. It can house 6 to 8 rats, and the bar spacing is of 1 inch, so not good for babies. This cage is the Prevue Pet Products Frisky Ferret cage. It costs $159.46 Canadian. It measures 63.5 by 43.5 by 86.4 centimeters. And it can only house 2 to 4 rats, so if you want a small group, that's perfect. Lastly, the bar spacing is 7/8 inches. Our next cage is the Prevue Hendryx F040, which is a bird cage, but can actually work pretty well for rats if you just take out the dowels. It costs $251.64 Canadian. It measures 78.7 by 52.1 by 134.6 centimeters. It can house 7 to 9 rats, and the bar spacing is half an inch, so perfect for babies. This cage is the Prevue Hendryx Corner ferret cage. It costs $413.68 Canadian. It measures 99.1 by 68.6 by 160 centimeters. It can house 13 to 15 rats, and the bar spacing is on the bigger side. It is 7/8 inches. Our next cage is called Kaytee My First Home Deluxe. It costs $209 Canadian. It measures 61 by 61 by 105.4 centimeters. It can house 4 to 6 rats, and the bar spacing is 1 inch. Our next cage is the Paw Hut Small Animal Cage Habitat. It costs $128.99 Canadian. It measures 24 by 24 by 42 inches. It can house 4 to 7 rats, and the bar spacing is 0.75 inches. Our next cage is the Paw Hut Bird Cage, and it is marketed once again towards birds, but it is a great cage for rats. It costs $244.99 Canadian. It measures 79 by 52.1 by 136 centimeters. It can house 7 to 9 rats, and the bar spacing is 0.51 inches. Our very last cage is the Prevue Pet Products SP42614-4 Flight Cage. It costs $102 Canadian. This cage is quite the small cage. It measures 66 by 91.4 by 35.6 centimeters. It can only house 2 to 3 rats, and the bar spacing is half an inch.